here's gonna be like radishes, basil, like all kinds of like edible things. Abortions. I mean, it's amazingly cruel what we do, right? We take, some other live beings, like they're little children, and they're like, yeah, let's eat them up. It's like we just don't think about it every day. Like, you just don't think how cruel it is. And then there's like a bird chirping outside at the same time as we're eating it. Completely disconnected, right? No, don't even think about it. Skipped having to go to Afghanistan because just pure timing, right? So they had conscription, right? Everybody had to go in the army. So every dude had to go and serve 2 years in the Russian army. It was hell because freaking, put a bunch of people from disparate nationalities together. Like it was like prison basically. You had to join a gang or else you're gonna be beaten up right away. So it's like 2 years of prison sentence for everyone. Everybody hated, right? It's not fun. And then when the Afghanistan war started, right, when Russians were on one side, Americans were on another side, fighting proxy war in Afghanistan, everybody had to be, most of the people who got conscripted ended up having to go to Afghanistan, and it was hell. Like every conflict, you end up killing people. Little kids shoot at you, like you don't know when to shoot a kid first, right? Oh. Probably end up shooting plenty of kids which you shouldn't have shit, right? So you can't sleep at night. Right? So I worked with some of these people who came back and, like, during the day, a normal person has a couple drinks, becomes a monster, right? Because all those zombies come back, right? So the way I got out of it was, there was a loophole, right? If you, after high school, when you turn 18, you manage to join a university, you were deferred for 1 year. So you could take 1 year of university, and then after that 1 year, you had to go and do your 2 years. So I lucked out that I did my 1 year deferred, right? And during that year, the Russians moved out of Afghanistan and it was over. Ethiopian coffee and mix it together with a Canadian coffee. I took it from my grandma. So Ethiopian is known for, it's really, really mild, right? Peach, sweet lemon, honey, right? Oh, yeah. Mild flavors, right? It's also medium roast. Oh, I used to work in coffee business, by the way. Canadian is literally like almost burnt, like Starbucks burnt coffee. So you mix it both together. You have a little bit of like mostly mild coffee, but there is a little bit of like kick of burnt what's in there. Mistakes are made. One of the first things I modified was the KDS. So this is KDS system, which basically is dynamic suspension system. And I was like, oh, read on the internet somewhere, like, yeah, there's the factory little ring is like subject to sometimes separate. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's something like I could do. So I bought these rings, which are replacements, and obviously screwed it up. There's supposed to be like a little notch where it's supposed to sit in. Instead of sitting in, it's like free floating around, which eventually is gonna break on me. So that's the very first thing I did, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Literally, I get like people coming up like, yeah, nice car, like it's done a good job. And there was like one dude's wife came like, hey, my husband never gives compliments to other people's cars. He said like, yours looks really good. So she's like, I need to tell you that. That's weird experience. Alright, welcome to my humble abode. You have to do X amount of pull-ups or else you're not allowed to go in.
Oh, okay.
Use will show what I can do. Nice. Alright. Yeah. See? At least you can navigate your way. Like if you can't do pull-ups, you're not gonna survive much longer.
Oh wow.
Look at it. Dance like nobody's watching. So it's the saying like, plant a tree.
Yeah.
Have a son, like kill a snake, build a house. Well, no sons, at least I'm aware of. Snakes I have killed plenty because one of those suckers bought Ariana. So I have no scruples anymore about killing the poisonous ones. Trees planted plenty. This is my attempt at building a house. Let's figure out and build something. So that's it. That's how it happened. Everything else is YouTube. And you can learn everything on YouTube now. Lots of appreciation for people who build houses now. So every time I drive by, I see somebody building something, it's like, yeah, I know how hard it is. Like, it looks easy, but it's not easy. That's a happy sound.
In the bottom. They literally went underneath like almost.
That sandwich.
Hold on.
By the way, how are your sandwiches earlier?
What sandwiches?
Two better sandwiches.
Oh, they were amazing. This ends up being a chisel job. It's amazing the amount of force which the arrow still has after flying this far. Like, it's not just like barely touching in there, it's like in there. Like if you do the body, it will probably still go through the body. Well, let's hit some bone. So this tree, you're gonna knock this tree down. Now it looks like the tree is suffering, but it can be cut down anyways.
This tree is also home to the bat house we made up there.
Yeah. The projects just kind of come out of ideas of learning new skills. The cabin was built because we had some leftover materials, but more I was interested to see if it's possible to just build things on your own, right? It's a skill which people kind of have forgotten, like, you know, being able to build your own dwelling. So it just fascinated me, and now on YouTube you can pretty much learn how to do anything, whatever you want. So YouTube was a big help, and it was done over a period of a little more than a year, and family participated, so it's a group project. And it's similar to other things, right? Like car, like changing the car, like, you know, upgrading existing street vehicle to customize it for overlanding was also something. It just like I never worked on cars. I never kind of grew up with that mechanic mindset, so it was a new thing for me to learn. And I just appreciate the fact of like being able to, like, you know, modify things, cut things, like install things. So, and that's kind of like I might have mentioned before, but basically the archery part also came from a trip experience. We were trekking in Nepal, and I saw high up in the mountains in a village that the locals were shooting arrows across maybe like 50 meters on a field, and they were hitting targets quite reliably. And I just thought, like, hey, that's some basic skill which I should probably try to learn. So I came back, bought a fancy modern compound bow, and learned how to shoot, and we killed one deer to prove that, yep, I can do it. And now we just shoot for targets to practice. And it's more like, it's that Zen experience of like stopping your breathing, focusing on the target, and then letting the eye kind of slide over the mark, because you can't hold your hand steady. You need to let it slide. So as it slides over, you just release the arrow, and then if you hear that satisfying clunk, you know, you hit it. So that's what drives me. We moved here from Michigan, right? We lived on the Great Lakes. So if we came here and in North Carolina, right, the choice was basically either we're gonna live again by the water or live in the mountains, right? And we didn't know much. Like most people don't know when they move from one region to another region, they don't know much about that area, so we didn't know much. But I did know that I wanted either one or second, and I'm really glad we picked this place. It's been an amazing experience. We were not rich in Latvia, we're not a princess, right? So we didn't come with money. Came with one little backpack full of my stuff for maybe a couple $100, right? And that's it. Like, so arrived here and it's like sink or swim, right? So came for a grad school, so the school was paid for because I had a research assistantship, right? So basically, if you work for university, they cover your classes, right? So that's how my school was paid. And then the living arrangements were always a little more dicey, but somehow managed to survive. But yes, I came for geology for graduate studies and graduated here, worked for 2 years, well, 1 year more, year and a half in geology, and then I switched to IT. Before COVID, right, most people, like this remote work was not so prevalent, right? So, and my job was always remote, pretty much like from year 2000. As soon as Skype was there was no real need for me to be in office. It was more like a, you know, assume that you're going to be office, but there's no real need. So this COVID kind of legitimized that I could work from my cabin. I still believe that like the human connection is important, so every couple of months I fly to my office in New York and meet with people, hang out, and have face-to-face interactions. But like there's probably no need for most people to be like day in day out sitting in office, right? Like the location where we live is, we're pretty blessed, right? So the mountains behind us, right? Within an hour you can be trekking, biking, climbing in mountains, right? And then ocean is another 3 hours away, so you can just drive and do water sports. So that's mostly what we do. And then like day to day, it's the simple things, right? You work, eat your breakfast, drink coffee, right? And then go run in a park at night, right? Sometimes the running happens after dark, and you run there, and there's coyotes howling, and it's interesting. Even like the mundane things are interesting, but it's just a regular life, just like anybody else. Would I come here again if I came from Latvia today? I wouldn't, right? So it wouldn't. Like right now, there's no impetus for people to leave Latvia to come here, right? Because the difference not so great, right? Like you could, with initiative and perseverance, you could make the same money in Latvia, right? The society there is probably a little more coherent, right? They have their own problems, but it's a little more coherent, right? Plus you don't have to like separate yourself from all the friends, everything and go to a new place, right? So that's a big jump. So anytime you see any immigrant, right, in US, that's what you need to think about, that they made a big bet on being able to do. So they, I think they have more, they probably have more goal-oriented thinking than the average person. Like average person is just gonna hunker down and try to like survive, right? But to kind of uproot yourself, go to a new place and try to establish yourself, that takes something. I don't think I have any amazing remarks. It's just basically when you're young, your tolerance of uncertainty and risk and everything else is just so much higher, right? So that's the time to take advantage of it, right? Like if you have some great ideas, pursue them now, because the older you're gonna get, the more responsibilities you're gonna have, the less tolerance you're gonna have, your body's gonna start falling apart, right? So now is the time. Grab it.